Alright, Shalom, Shalom Akim. Back at you with another video. Gonna look at some of the Hurricane Laura aftermath. You know, to see the power of Yahweh Yahushai, which is just getting warmed up. Not really the power what we're not in its full force, not yet, but it's warming up. Yeah, year 2020, year of prophecy. The signs are right before our eyes. The Gospels, what he spoke about in Matthew, Mark, Luke and John, the uprisings are increasing, the uproar, the seditions, the wars and the rumors of wars, the plagues, the famines, the fearful signs, the signs and the wonders, and the earthquakes, all picking up momentum on a global scale, man. So yeah, so before we start, we're going to check out this clip, these one and two clips, and then hit some scripts. I want to put up a quick disclaimer. You know, YouTube for this is for the benefit of YouTube. We want to give people just to avoid any kind of unnecessary strikes. We're going to read it word for word here. It says copyright disclaimer under section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for use for purposes such as criticism, comments. So we're going to, criticism or comments, news reporting, teaching, scholarship and research for benefit of the research. For use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, so this is non-profit, this is educational or personal use. Tips the balance in favor of fair use. So that's my disclaimer. Without further ado, let's check out these two little clips on Hurricane Laura.
Much more dramatic videos show the fury of Hurricane Laura, giving you an idea of what winds of at least 130 miles an hour can do. This video was taken as the eye wall moved over Lake Charles, and that gust of wind just quickly flipped that RV onto its side. Now, our crew has just arrived in the Lake Charles area after weathering the storm in Lafayette. Let's check in now with Tan Trung. Tan, what have you seen so far today?
Well, Karen, as you indicated at the top of the show, most of the concern initially before the storm made landfall was about storm surge, but we can certainly tell you it's been a wind event. We are currently at the intersection of Martin Luther King Highway and Highway 90, and take a look at behind me here. Don't be deceived by that standing water. That is more the exception, not the rule, in and around Lake Charles at this point. And we positioned ourselves here because earlier on, as we arrived here, we saw a massive plume of smoke coming in from beyond that skyline, and that was from a chlorine leak from the biolab, which is confirmed by West Lake Charles officials. We are not sure about the status of that chemical fire at this point, but at this point we also haven't seen much of that plume. As we drove in further east on Martin Luther King Highway, we saw rows and rows of streets with down power lines. We saw roofs that suffered major damage, trees that were snapped in half, down trees as well, uprooted. Now that is the case here, as you see, just rows and rows and blocks of homes and businesses that have suffered major damage. There is
the Most High is just getting warmed up, man. Psalm 7, we're going to read Psalm 7 and verse 11 says, God judgeth the righteous, and God is angry with the wicked every day. He's only touching the businesses so far. He's touching on the businesses. But boy, when it starts to heat up, that's why we're preparing our minds now. All the men of the Lord, we're preparing our minds for what is about to come. Year 2020. And you, Esau, you're already shook. You're saying this is one of the worst years for you, Edomites. A lot of you are really feeling the heat already, and we're the Most High haven't even warmed up yet.
A good amount of heavy equipment right now in Lake Charles, and remarkably, shortly after, I mean, this is
and this is a poor area, you know, Lake Charles. You know, mostly the tribes live in these poor ghetto areas. So, you know, you need to start fearing the Most High too. Let me read another script, man. For all those that are not heeding the word, heeding the counsel of the prophets, you need to start taking notes. Start heeding the words of the prophets. This is just a warning. Hebrews 10:31 says, it is a fearful thing to fall unto the hands of the living God. Boy, it's a fearful thing to fall under the hands of the living God.
Roughly almost 11 hours after landfall, there's a good amount of traffic moving in and around Lake Charles at this point. And another positive sign, the National Guard is here too, because of the down power lines that we have east of here. They're starting to kind of clear out one lane so people can get through, probably more importantly for the linemen to get in and also to restore power here. There is no power at this point. Cell service is very spotty. Take a look behind me. This is the Lord's Outreach Worship Center, and it was boarded up, but in fact, 30 people, roughly 30 people, rode out the storm there last night. You can see some of the roof damage behind there. We spoke with some of the parishioners. This one lady has been going here for the past 18 years. She said it was by the grace of God that this church is still standing, because it was quite frightening riding out the storm last night as Hurricane Laura.
Yeah, maybe this time around he had some mercy on you, but like I say, you need to start taking heed of the true prophets. You know, the men of the Lord, man. The ones that you see on the street corners. They're all over there, all the states in America. They're over here in England. Rising up, man. Spitting that truth, man. The ones you might look down on, and you're going to start to really see what's really happening. When you start to see what's really happening, you're going to say, yeah, these are the true men of the Lord. You know, like I say, 2020, year of prophecy, and we're seeing it now. We're seeing these plagues all around the world. We're seeing the fires over there also. You know, the coronavirus with the plagues, the fires over there in California, devastating a lot of those lands, wineries, and thousands homeless, you know. So
made landfall.
You need to start taking heed. You need to start taking heed now. This time around, you may not be so fortunate, or the Most High may not allow you to live next time around. So start taking heed now. Right, man. Let me read the script. Proverbs 14. Proverbs 14 and 27 says, the fear of the Lord is the fountain of life, to depart from the snares of death. They may have had some kind of fear, but they, you know, in their ignorance, they believe that they're calling on the name Jesus, you know, which is Yehoshua in the Hebrew. The fear of the Lord is the fountain of life, to depart from the snare of death, and it will save your life. You call upon that name. Take heed now. Before it's too late.
On later editions of Eyewitness News, and also on WWLTV.com. Reporting from Lake Charles, Tan Trung, Eyewitness News.
Tan, I just want to make sure that we have perspective on that chemical spill. Chlorine is nothing you want to mess with. Did you say you can no longer see the plume?
At this point, no, because initially when we rode in here about an hour and 20 minutes ago, that plume was very visible. Again, the wind right now is, I wouldn't say it's very strong, but it is significant. We'll get some strong gusts, but we do not see that plume of smoke, and it was very prominent, and we could drive, as we were driving along Martin Luther King Highway east, it was still dominating the skyline. At this point, we just came back to this position about 20 minutes ago to set up for this live shot. It's no longer, at least from our vantage point, we can't see it. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that that is under control, but we have not confirmed with any officials about the status of that. But visibly, we can't see it at this point.
And you've covered so many storms. I know we don't have a lot of time, but it's got to be encouraging that you could drive from point A to point B and that there are cars going behind you.
Yeah, and I wouldn't advise it, because there's a lot of down power lines. Of course, I mean, I don't want to put us above anybody else, but we're trying to get pictures of the disaster. But we do see many people, and I don't think they're, you know, first emergency or first responders going in here. We saw many residents, and this is where the danger also comes in after such a storm too, because there's no lights, no signals at the traffic stops, and there's a lot of debris and down power lines. We don't know how live they are at this point too, so it is quite dangerous, and this is where people can also get into trouble, because we're getting a good amount of traffic in and around here. Karen.
All right, Tan Trung reporting live from Lake.
All right, man, let's check out this one. There's another one. The aftermath, the hurricane strikes hotel. Hurricane Laura strikes hotel.
Not good. Oh no. Time to take cover. Time to take cover.
Lake Charles, Louisiana, Hurricane Laura as it happens. This building is coming apart.
Whole building is going apart.
Windows are blown out. Metal blinds poke out from offices. In the daylight, it looks like a bomb went off. Here, the moment the power goes out. Look how close this reporter comes to an exploding transformer.
Yeah, that's what you call a fool. You know, I'll read that script again. Proverbs 14:27 says, "The fear of the Lord is the fountain of life, to depart from the snare of death." And the fear of the Lord, you know, in other scripts mentions the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And if you don't have that fear, it's foolish. And Esau, we know Esau's a damn fool. You know, they always want to challenge the Most High's, you know, what they call nature. Challenge the Most High's nature. Daring but foolish.
Close this reporter comes to an exploding transformer.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, you were scared. Don't he was scared. Don't putting on a brave face.
Good.
A motel was torn apart piece by piece. Today, you can see through the roof.
We even have to evacuate.
Inside Edition producer Cynthia Yip took refuge inside the Quality Inn in Lake Charles.
You can see that the side of the building has just fallen off from the hotel that we're staying in. Whoa.
Guests did what they could to help out.
All the people staying here are trying to pitch in and secure it before debris comes in.
The roof.
Yeah, man. So it goes on. Yeah. So that's the aftermath. You know, Moses warming up, as he spoke about in the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke. When you start to see these things, you know that the end is near, man. Let's watch a little bit more.
The roof did not hold up.
The water is really dripping through here. It's not safe. The roof could give out any minute.
This veteran CNN reporter is breathing a sigh of relief today.
But I'll tell you, I have covered a lot of hurricanes in my career since the 1980s, and this was a really scary event.
In some areas, it looked as if a tornado ripped through town.
I'll tell you, I have covered a lot of hurricanes in my career since the 1980s, and this was a really scary event.
Yes. It was a really scary event. Psalm 7, we're going to read it again. And 11 says, God is righteous and God is angry with the wicked every day. Yeah, to end off the video, we end off with that. We're going to end off with this one. Because they can't say, I'm talking to the tribes now, the children of Yashua Allah, so-called blacks, Native American Indians, and the so-called Latinos, you know, so-called Negroes, Native American Indians, and the so-called Latinos. This is the tribes. This is really for you to get your act together. You know, this is what Yahushua spoke about, year 2020. He warned that this time will come. These are the signs. Hebrews 10 and 31 says that it's a favorable thing to fall unto the hands of the living God. So, take heed now, before it's too late, Akim. So we're going to end off with that, and we're going to give our praises to Yahweh Shem Yeshai for giving me the spirit to do this video. Kwam Yashua, rise up to the house of David. Shalak Ram be upon all the wicked. Everything they've done to us, past, present, and future, may it fall upon their own head. Shalom to all the Akim we are.